in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for you. Won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for
Yep, yep, that's a whole lot better.
Gotcha. Okay, my bad there. I can hear you as well, so it looks like we're good to go there.
No worries. Are you good to go?
Yeah. Whenever you guys want to kick off, I don't want to rush anything. So if you want to wait for some more people to come
Yep,
through, totally up to you guys.
yep, yep, that's completely fine. Let's wait for a couple more minutes and then we can get started,
Beautiful. Thanks again.
of course.
Invincible.
All right, let's get started. And I'm sure we'll have some more people joining in as we go by. But just let me know if you're ready to go and we'll get started.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, first of all, welcome everyone and Slabs as well from Punk Rocks. Happy to have you here, bud. Um, it's another time for, I guess, another Bitrock project showcase, and this is the second one. And essentially, for people who are not familiar with the concept, this is a showcase for promising Bitrock on-chain projects that may not necessarily be part of our kind of partner program, but have exhibited some very solid kind of promise in terms of their project plans, their team efforts, their utilities, commitment to longevity, et cetera. And they definitely do deserve some recognition based on fulfilling certain criteria. And so, with that said, today we have Punk Rocks, which is again a project on the Bitrock chain, kind of focused on Web3 branding and visuals and NFTs again and stuff like that. So essentially, I'm not entirely sure when they launched, and I'll let Slaps kind of take over and tell everyone more about the project. But we're excited to have them. And again, we ask that for anyone who has questions for the project for Punk Rocks, just save them till the end. And hopefully we have time for a couple for Slabs to take them. But aside from that, Slabs, first of all, welcome. Happy to have you, man. And thanks for, of course, launching your project on the chain. We'll kind of maybe love to hear from you on what led to that decision, what the idea behind the project is. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, the team, and what you guys are trying to do with the project, what you've done so far, and what you have coming up. The floor is yours, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was amazing introduction, and again, I appreciate being invited for the second official showcase or project showcase on Bitrock. Just to introduce myself quickly, like you said, my name's Slabs. I'm the founder of the Punk Rocks NFTs, building on the Bitrock blockchain. Um, and like I said, it's a total honor to be chosen as the second project, and the recognition just from the team in general and from the community, and just everything so far has been amazing, and it means a lot. Adds a lot of motivation, not only for me but just for the team in general to keep building the best product possible for you guys. So, thanks again for introducing us and inviting us here. And so I guess just to give everyone a quick overview of the project, kind of the timelines and all of that. We started, just a short 3 months ago as a relatively simple NFT project. And since then, it's kind of grown into a life of its own. And like he said, I consider us now, more than just a profile picture project, but a budding Web3 brand. And eventually, we plan to be a complete punk rock ecosystem built on top of the Bitrock blockchain. Um, and like you said, we have not launched yet. We're still in that that build phase where we want to make sure everything is perfected and everything is in the right order, so that when we do initially launched that mint for the NFTs, all the following utility and all the following branding will kind of fall right into place alongside it, to just maximize the value for not only our brand but for the holders as well. So definitely stay tuned for the specific announcements, but just as a general time frame, we're expecting the mint date to be in early January or in January of 2024 now. So that's the goal. Obviously, timelines can change here and there, but that is the current the situation that we have. And just to give you guys a little bit of a background into some of the specific utilities that we've been building for the NFTs and for the brand as a whole. Like I said, it just kind of started off with just the just the profile pictures and what was our first utility, which was based on our unique transaction volume royalty. And what this is I'm sure many of you who are familiar with NFTs have seen a royalty put on the secondary market transactions or transaction volume. And usually 100% of that royalty goes directly just into the team wallet and is used for development, this, that, the other. And what we decided was one, we would add a 5% royalty, but we wanted to take 1% of that, or well, 20% of that, but one of the 5% of that royalty, and we were going to take the Brock tokens that we were given on that royalty and send it to a burn wallet. So our hope is just to have an automated process where all the secondary markets will just divert 1% of the royalty to a burn wallet. We're expecting that maybe in the short term we might have to manually do those burns, but nonetheless, we have that devotion for essentially to drive a long-term deflationary push for the Brock token. And we also kind of want to set a precedent for other projects out there to potentially adopt this model and kind of do their part as well to, not only focus on building value for their specific project, right? But also building value for the Bitrock blockchain as well, right? If we're choosing to build on top of, what I think is going to be an amazing chain and amazing token, going into 2024 and the bull run in late 2024 and 2025, hopefully. We think that they deserve, some recognition as well for just simply allowing us to, to build on top of their network. So again, that's the kind of the first goal there. And to take it a step back as well, I know you asked briefly like what our motivations were to work on or build on the Bitrock ecosystem. And I still remember the day that I came up with this. I was like, rocks, bit rocks, rock swap token. I was like, punk rocks. Like it just made sense to me, right? And it was funny that when eventually we were in the process of building, and then I heard that the guys over at Wrapped were also doing a punk rock of sorts, or a rock punk. I got a little nervous, but now it actually excites me that we have two different rock punks or punk rocks on the chain with completely different value, completely different artwork, but kind of sharing a little bit of a close name. So I like that. But again, when I was first coming up with this, I remember I was driving home from work, and I was just in the Telegram, and I remember asking, are you guys smart contract capable? Like, are you guys planning to build NFTs? And this was before I'd heard anything about Wrapped, heard anything about the marketplace, and you guys said yeah. And then I think within maybe 15 minutes, I still hadn't even gotten home from work. We had a group chat made with the Bitrock team, and I was kind of giving you guys some of my initial ideas. And yeah, that was only 3 months ago, and look at us now. We've built what I think is something pretty special so far, and hope to continue building something even more amazing over the next couple years and beyond. So I guess one of the well, I guess I'll start into some of the specific utilities that we've come up with, but just to give some conceptual ideas for how we're going to be running it. um, you know we do plan to release, kind of different business segments and revenue streams, throughout the next well, exactly throughout the bull run and beyond. But the goal is to have that longer term roadmap to make sure that not only are we continuing to build, but we're continuing to drive value to our holders, right? Because that's what's most important in building a community, right? And
Yep.
so, like I mentioned, our initial way was to have that 1% transaction volume burn, and that's all fine and dandy. But again, that only focuses on the chain that we're building on. So then we wanted to find a way to drive value specifically to the NFTs, specifically to the brand, and specifically to the holders. And so the second concept that we had for adding that value is through our monthly holder giveaway or raffle model. And so I'm not sure, how many of you have seen, our Twitter promotions and whatnot. So I'll definitely start from the beginning there. But how this works is, each month we will have a snapshot taken, and all of the rock holders will automatically be entered into, our exclusive holder giveaway. And how this will scale is directly on the number of NFTs held in the wallet. So simply put, the more NFTs that you hold, the more entries you would get into these giveaways. And then additionally, once our NFT staking platform goes live, and currently that's being built on directly on our website. So our mint will be on the website, our staking will be on the website, our shops on the website. We're going to try to, centralize around that one location. But these multipliers, or sorry, this staking platform, what it's going to do is add multipliers depending on the specific traits of the NFTs. And how we'll calculate that is through the metadata of the NFT. We'll be able to see how many different traits or how many utility-based traits each of the NFTs have, and then give these multipliers to the raffle entries. So just to give like an explanation of that or a specific of that, if you were to have, say, three separate traits that give multipliers, so a 2x multiplier, a 2x multiplier, and a 3x multiplier, then your staked rock would then have 12 times the number of entries into our monthly giveaway than just your standard unstaked rock that someone holds in their wallet, or maybe is like listed on for sale, or anything like that. So, and if there's any other questions later in the call, I can absolutely go into further detail about this. I know we've made a couple different posts initially about the guitars adding having utility. We just recently released the one regarding the Bitrock token logo and on both the pendant and the eyes, adding multipliers for all the token giveaways that we'll do, or the Bitrock token giveaways that we'll do. And that'll come from the treasury, from staking rewards, that sort of thing. But again, if there's any questions about kind of how those multipliers will work, please absolutely ask that at the end. And then touching off of that staking there, kind of the third concept that we had to drive value to our holders was again related to the secondary market. And so what we theorized was that, if we're able to bring trait specific utility to our NFTs, meaning certain traits would have more utility than others, then we would in turn drive the free market to decide kind of which specific traits and which specific combinations of traits were quote unquote valued higher on that secondary market, right? So we often see that, in the past, secondary market valuations for NFTs specifically are kind of based primarily on the aesthetic or just the look of the NFT, or at the very least by like the rarity of those different traits. And while we are, tending to lean towards, making some of the more rare traits that we have more valuable, we also want to make sure that we're giving it kind of a fair diversification of that utility. So, just because you might have a common trait, we still want to make sure that you're benefiting substantially from holding that rock. So it won't just be the 5% rare traits have the best utility, right? So we want to find a good balance or strike a good balance in giving added benefit, obviously added utility to some of the more rare traits, but at the same time, making sure that we're fair across the board. So, um, and one thing that I can say is that while many of these trait specific benefits that we're coming up with are going to come in the form of these staking multipliers for our giveaways, we have already released our first example of what is going to be called the standalone trait utility. And what that is, or the one that we've released so far, is in our golden rocks. And again, I'm sure some of you have seen that Twitter announcement, but just to recap, we're going to be sharing 10% of all of our merchandising profits. So any sales from our website shop, any of our future merchandising releases, which we plan to continually do new seasons of merchandising every 2, 3, 4 months. We're going to be giving away, like I said, 10% of all those profits directly to our gold colored rock holders, assuming that they're staking their rock. And I guess we haven't decided fully if maybe if you're not staking your rock, we'll still give you the initial 10% profit share. But what we will eventually have is a multiplier for that profit share. Um, and what this will do is allow people who have golden rocks with a couple specific other traits to reach as high as potentially 20, 25% of the profit share. Just kind of have different tiers, and again drive some more value to those golden rocks in the secondary market. And then just to give an idea of like maybe how many golden rocks there's going to be, we're targeting about an 8 to 10% trait rarity there. So with about 3,300 rocks or 3,333 rocks, there will be about 300, 333 or so golden rocks. So there should definitely be enough for, a good distribution of profit, but at the same time, we wanted to keep it at least somewhat exclusive there. So that the profits could potentially be, or the profit share could potentially be a little bit higher, rather than, kind of smaller amounts at the beginning, right? And then I guess I'm sure this will probably be a question later, so I'll cover it, is how that profit share will actually be paid out. Is initially we're going to be focusing on just using the Bitrock token, which obviously is a super great thing or super easy thing to share funds with, because the transaction fees are non-existent, right? So we're not losing any money in fees, airdropping funds to wallet holders, or sorry, rock holders. But eventually we do want to take the variability or the volatility out of that profit share. And so, we're hoping that, if and when the Bitrock chain has a stable coin, we'll transition into doing that profit share with the stable coin. Again, just to decrease the volatility that the holders might see, especially if, they're not immediately swapping over their profit share, as soon as it gets airdropped or something like that, or as soon as it's claimed. So definitely
Yeah.
want to keep that in mind for our holders, right? And then I know lastly, I did mention that, the long-term value that we're going to be striving to hold is going to be just through continued development of our brand. And so what this really means is we're going to be running that Punk Rocks brand, fully like a business, and always searching for, new ways to add additional and unique revenue streams, as well as expand upon those existing revenue streams, right? So our goal is that, whether we're adding a gaming arm to the business, or we're adding I don't know if you guys are familiar with some of the other NFT projects out there, but for example, the Sproto Gremlins have like a coffee brand that they're doing, or a charity side of their brand that they're doing. So there's a lot of different ideas that we have in the background, in order to add different revenue streams. And then from there, we'll be taking whatever profits we get and finding a way to in turn share those with the holders. Just kind of bring that full circle. And once again, as I've probably said 100 times, but I'll say 100 more, is drive utility to our holders, because that's what it's all about. And so far, like I said, we've made one of those specific revenue streams public so far, which is the merchandising profit share. And then for anyone who was in our spaces last week, we announced, or kind of teased at the second one, being a Web3 game that we're in the process of developing. And again, that'll have an expected release date of early Q1 2024. The goal is to line that up with or at least line it up close to the mint date, again, to drive the most value and exposure to not only our project, but the ecosystem as well. And just note again that that game will be built on the Bitrock blockchain as well, so it will definitely be integrated, with the chain, which will be nice. So, and I know I was talking about that in the spaces last week, but one of the things I'm really excited about, for specifically Bitrock is, I don't know who was here last bull run, but Polygon Matic, right? They had a Web3 game that basically shut down their blockchain because they weren't scalable enough, right? There was some sort of sunflower game. That kind of just congested the chain and whatnot. And I feel like we're really excited to show the world that you can build applications on Bitrock, or you can use this ecosystem to build applications, build games, whatever it may be. And the throughput's going to be capable of of showing that off. So I think that that'll be a great way to get not only eyes again on the Punk Rocks project, but also just eyes on the Bitrock ecosystem in general. Because our hope for that game is, again, I can't talk too much about it, and I'm sure there will be questions about it at the end. But the goal is not just to build a game that is focused on the punk rocks, but a game that is kind of ubiquitous and can transcend just our brand and can be played by anyone who's interested, whether they're already on the Bitrock blockchain or they just heard about it through our game or what have you. So definitely excited to release more about that in the kind of the coming weeks and months, but can only share so much about it so far, as
Yeah.
I'm sure many of you guys understand. So, but
Yeah.
but in general, I mean, that's just a brief overview or a solid rant, I'd say, about the current utilities that we have, and the things that kind of we're building in the background so far. So up to you
Wow.
guys. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to touch on there. So I'm going to kind of take my time and kind of see how far down the rabbit hole we can get. But I'll just kind of mention a few things first that kind of stuck out to me. So first of all, your website looks very clean. So good job on that. It's
Thank you.
the color scheme, the color palette, the kind of layout is, I think, very decluttered and also kind of very easily navigatable, if that's a word. But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
good job on that, first of all. And I also like that you're kind of, well, let me put it this way. One of the most kind of important things that the team looks for when they kind of look for projects to kind of host on these types of showcases and so on is longevity and kind of current promise, but also future promise. And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of sounds like not only are you kind of experienced or in terms of kind of your uh, stay in the crypto market, because you've been around the last bull run, then you kind of been probably before that and so on. So you kind of have, it's not like you kind of became kind of a crypto enthusiast overnight and you're like, yeah, let's launch a project. Because a lot of the time with these types of teams with inexperience, even though they might have good intentions, but with these types of teams, a lot of the time they kind of lack uh, the knowledge and the experience to kind of sustain a crypto project long term. Because ultimately, a day or two in the crypto space almost feel like a year. If you can kind of survive that, then that's solid. But at the same time, a lot of teams don't actually know how to push. They kind of want to run before they walk. They want to put out everything fast without actually taking their time and developing the best possible product that they can, even if it can take a month or two or three. And that's completely fine, especially on a relatively new blockchain, because at the end of the day, the potential for adoption will only increase over time. And at the end of the day, if you also launch in line with that type of expected growth, then you would probably line things up with a significant increase in adoption, which will ultimately get you more, let's say, more viewership or more users or more investors than if you just put things out today. Not that you can, because things like this take time, but if you had. So kudos on kind of taking this approach, taking this kind of methodical, well thought out approach. Not a lot of teams do that, so good job. So that's number one, along with the website. I kind of, again, there's a lot to touch on, but again, I'm just going to kind of mention a couple of things that also stuck out to me. First of all, just very quickly on the stable coin part, because you did mention that in the profit sharing section. So um, I'm not sure, there may be people here who may have tuned into our last AMA, and I'm just going to mention this very briefly because this is not really about Bitrock as much as it is about you guys, but the stable coin part will come quite soon, guys. We're not putting any ETAs out there, but at the moment, along with the multi-chain decks development and so on, which is estimated to be out by end of year. The stable coin will come out before that. We do have quite a few projects that are their utilities also kind of either fully or partially dependent on that. So the team is kind of all hands on deck. That the kind of dev team part is all hands on deck to kind of work on that, and development has actually moved forward. So a month ago, or maybe a month and a half, we were kind of waiting for replies from certain people and stuff like that. We've gotten those replies, and now things have moved forward. So you can look forward to the whole stablecoin thing very, very soon. And that's all I can say about that right now. So whether it's for profit sharing, whether it's for casino projects, whether it's for whatever else type of project that kind of made, or just for, the average investor wanting to kind of keep their assets on chain, but in something that's basically just purely stable, that's going to come very soon. But yeah, back to you guys. Number one, kind of the idea of kind of splitting your or having multiple approaches to revenue streams. So let's kind of dig down that a little bit. So you have your merch, which I believe is already live on your website. And I think if I take a quick look at the staking, okay, so that's in progress, and I think you said you're kind of developing that right now, the NFT staking and stuff like that. So of course, NFT staking encourages people to actually hold their NFTs and stake them, and on top of that, you have your kind of rarity slash trait multipliers, which maybe we can talk a little bit more about. But the fact that you're not just building or not just putting out an NFT collection, but actually building one of many kind of utilities that underlie that and synergize with that is very, very promising. So that's number one.
Thank you.
And your whole kind of punk rock theme kind of resonates with me a little bit, with the kind of young punk rocker inside of me. So that's kind of a little bit relevant to me personally. But yeah, really, really nice looking artwork on the website. Also, I think you're considering, you mentioned wrapped platform. I think there may also be room for, I don't know, maybe right now how, but there may be possible potential for some type of partnership or synergy in that area somewhere down the line. Definitely, I think people would be able to at least maybe showcase their, I'm not sure if they would be able to showcase their NFTs on that platform, but that's kind of two things kind of working in synergy potentially, which is nice because personally, and I mentioned this in every single AMA where we host other projects on the chain, whether it's partnered or non-partnered, I personally really enjoy seeing multiple kind of on-chain projects working together directly or indirectly, and also having their own kinds of journeys on the chain, which kind of go forward months. And it's just really nice to see that there are teams who are willing to actually commit to launching a project on the chain. And not that there's no incentive or motivation for it, there's plenty, obviously, but it's just really nice to see. And also, you mentioned the kind of golden rocks or golden punk rocks. I guess you can kind of refer to them as rocks, just not to confuse people with kind of rock swap versus rock. So so we're talking about your NFTs here. So you mentioned you have, I think it was a 10%, was it rarity kind of rate between your 3,333 NFTs that are going to be minted versus 10% of that, which are going to be the golden rocks, which I assume are kind of the more rare ones.
Yeah, so golden specifically meant like the color of the rocks. Like as you guys can see in our profile picture here, the rock is like a gray tone. Some of the
Yeah,
rocks are like a bright gold, shiny color. And again, that's between about 8 and 10% of the collection will be that color. And then so anyone who holds one of those rocks or multiple of those rocks will be given their share of our profit share from merchandising. And like I said, there will be in the
gotcha.
future, we'll announce some more multipliers so that they can increase that share a little bit. But just as a across the board minimum, we'll be giving away a 10% profit share on all merchandising to Gold Rock holders.
Okay, so let's kind of go into that a tiny bit further. So you have again like an 8 to 10% rarity rate. So roughly 300 to like 333 of those. And so you have a couple of things which I kind of want to understand a little bit more of because I personally don't have that much experience. I do obviously have a little bit, but not too much in terms of NFTs. So I personally would love to understand. I'm sure maybe a few other people here maybe want to kind of understand that a little bit further. So you have, first of all, the NFT staking part, which is in development right now, where people would be able to stake their NFTs. Now, is the multiplier applicable on the staking or is it on the profit sharing from buying the NFTs, or how does that work?
So I guess staking is, I guess what people are used to when they hear staking is, okay, you're going to be paid out like a dividend or anything like that. Our staking is, I guess that was just the best way that I could describe it. It's more of like a lockup, right? So you're going to lock in your NFT, basically proving that you're holding it and you're not, listing it for sale or, basically you're just saying you're holding it. So that gives us, or this allows us to incentivize people to, or this gets us to want to incentivize people to hold. And so what we're doing is depending on the different traits that you have, and we'll be able to tell through the metadata of the NFT which traits you have and which combinations of traits you have. There will be different multipliers for the different utilities that we offer. For
Okay.
example, for example, the profit share one for the merchandising, just across the board, anyone who stakes their golden rock will be given that 10% share divided evenly between the 333 or whatever number of golden rocks there are. They'll be paid out their share of the 10% profit share. Then, on top of that, anyone who has the specific multiplier traits for that utility. So, for example, laser eyes. I'm not saying that it's going to be laser eyes, but for example, if you have a golden rock with laser eyes, then you get 25% profit share. So then anyone with that specific combination would be in theory paid, not even in theory, in practice, paid out more than just a standard staked golden rock. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of kind of generic or general multiplier for
Mhm.
specific traits, and then kind of further divide that into additional kind of sub areas of specific traits, which add further multipliers on top of that.
Exactly. And so one thing that we're realizing is that you could potentially have a rock that is so traded out, right? It has so many different traits
Yeah.
that not only are you getting profit share on on the merchandising, but you're also earning like a maximum multiplier for our giveaways, right? Because as I
Mm,
mentioned, anyone who stakes their rock will have multipliers added to the number of entries that they have to our monthly giveaways. So depending on the different combinations of traits, there will be a few different rocks that have basically all of the different utilities that we're going to be offering, the ones existing and the ones that haven't even been announced yet. So our goal is, or our theory is that those rocks will be valued the highest, right? So on that secondary market, people are going to want the golden rocks with the laser eyes, with the Bitrock pendant necklace, and all these different things that allow them to maximize the value out of that specific rock. But again, we're also taking into account that not everyone can have the most most utility based rock, and so we still want to drive just a base level of utility to standard rocks or rocks with more just generic traits, or not generic traits, but not as rare traits, if that makes sense.
gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. All right. So it seems to me that or most of your utilities kind of focused around getting people to hold, which I think is very healthy.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a motivation to, or I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of a question of, well, how rare or how traded out your NFT actually is for you to either want to kind of buy it, then put it on sale, depending on how much you would get from the profit sharing and the other kind of utilities versus if you just put it for sale. And that's entirely up to the person. But you're kind of giving people an option to do both, but definitely focused around people actually holding it. So in essence, promoting exclusivity, which I think is something that's kind of makes perceived value a lot higher. And that's something that always basically gives results. So kudos on kind of having that forward thinking approach. So that's number one. Number two, to kind of understand the whole profit sharing part a little bit more. So how would you, so where do the funds for the profit sharing actually come from?
So like I said, there's gonna be a couple different ways that we have that, and so like I said, specifically for the merchandising, that'll just be whatever profits. Currently, we tried to keep the prices relatively low just to incentivize people to actually be interested in purchasing the merchandising. But
Yeah.
we do definitely have a profit margin built into every single one of those pieces of clothing or articles that we're going to be selling, and then from there. What we're calling it is different seasons of merch. So season one is live right now, as you said, live on the website, and this will go from now until when we mint. When we mint, we're going to be releasing season two of our merchandising, and basically what we're going to be doing is anyone who mints a golden rock will be paid out via like an airdrop of I guess now that I know that the stablecoin is going to be live, it'll be an airdrop of the stablecoin, but directly to the wallets that mint the golden rocks. And then
Mm-hmm.
at the end of season two, our hope is that staking is live at that point, and it likely will be. And so then from there, we'll have a even better count of okay, if the multipliers are included, which wallets specifically have how many rocks, how many rocks with multipliers, and then we'll be able to distribute the profit share specifically from the shop there.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of the other like giveaways or profit shares, those will all be done kind of individually. So, for example, you asked like kind of how we're going to be funding some of the giveaways. Initially, we'll be using some of the mint funds, but what we've decided as a team is that we're going to be staking or providing liquidity depending on the best return on investment. Our mint
Okay.
funds, right? So we're going to take however much money we make from the mint and then try to stake it to earn additional revenue. Then that revenue can be used to, rather than deplete our mint funds and deplete our team treasury, we can use that to still pay out, our holders, whether it's just directly from a Brock giveaway or a Brock token giveaway, or if it's okay, well, we cash this out and we're able to buy, I know I've teased this one, but like a custom V guitar, or a flying V guitar that we'll put some branding on top of and then ship out to the winner. So that's kind of the
Nice.
concept is we're going to try to have as many different revenue streams as possible so that we can fund these. But just off the initial bat, the goal is to have, like I said, staking revenue be used from the mint funds just to kind of kickstart the giveaways, so to speak.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds good, man. Honestly, it seems like you kind of have pretty much everything laid out on paper at the moment. So it's just really a matter of actually putting out those different milestones or developments or kind of
Mm-hmm.
the actual, uh, essentially the project coming to fruition,
Mm-hmm.
which would be an extremely exciting time, I would think. Not just, I think, for the community, but especially for the team. It's, months of hard work, I'm sure. So um, now, kind of a quick side question. How many team members are you guys at the moment?
So right now we have three. Well, actually, we just recently added a fourth member. Right now, it's me as the founder. We have a developer who's doing the mint contract and the staking contract. We have an artist, and then we've contracted out a couple different projects, like the website. We had contracted out.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the animations we've had contracted out, and then we recently added a like kind of a social media manager who's actually in the call here, not in the call, but in the spaces here, Masterpiece down
Oh,
there.
sweet.
So I want to give him a shout out. But
Yeah,
so
I see
um,
him.
me and him have been kind of working in conjunction to do, some of the social media outreach and take a little bit of the specific social media related things off of me so that I can focus on, kind of the more, I don't want to say more important things, but, some of the things that are really going to make or break the project in terms of, business deals, future developments,
Yeah,
and all that
strategic,
good stuff.
kind of strategic stuff. Yeah, got you.
Exactly, but it's definitely been a process for me as I really do like being hands-on with all the different pieces. I was working directly with the artists. Obviously, I'm not very good at art, but just kind of making little tweaks here and there, and just every single day giving my input and whatnot. And so it's the same way with the social medias. This one's kind of my baby, so it's been
Yeah,
hard to take steps back in certain areas, but obviously I know that that's the most important for building a kind of a long-term brand is putting the right people in place for different things. So, been working on that.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a kind of bittersweet feeling to kind of onboard more people onto your team because at the end of the day, with things like this, you always kind of feel at the back of your head that you're the one who can do things best, but you kind of have to number one, delegate, but at the same time, make
Hmm.
sure you're delegating to people who actually may know more about different areas than you do. So,
Hmm.
and also, it's just not humanly possible to just have one person doing everything and who's good at everything as well. Maybe for the first week or two, but then it just does not become sustainable. So, good job. I mean, it sounds like you have that part of things sorted. So that's awesome to hear. I guess my last question would be uh, more on the burn side of things because that does sometimes interest some people as well. So first of all, I can you explain what the kind of secondary part of things is, or a secondary revenue that you kind of mentioned, and how that contributes to burns? But what exactly is the secondary part of it?
Gotcha. So when I said secondary, I was referring to secondary marketplaces for trading NFTs. So for people familiar with the one on Bitrock, the current secondary market is the Wrapped platform. And so what that is a place where people can trade our NFTs, right? Because the goal is to have a secondary
Yeah,
market value. And obviously the hope is that that might appreciate over time, as we saw in the previous bull run. A lot of NFTs, their mint price was X, and then by the end of the market, or by the end of the bull run, they were 100X. So our goal is
yeah,
to somewhere fit somewhere between there, hopefully. But obviously, so in that secondary market, let's say just for example, one of our rocks sold for $100. Usually there's a marketplace fee, and then there, on top of a marketplace fee, that's given to the marketplace. There's going to be a royalty, and those are usually just sent to creator wallets. So like the team would receive the royalty directly, and so
okay,
that's one of the revenue streams that we currently have is it's going to be a 5% royalty, or you could similar to the Bitrock transaction tax on the Ethereum side of 5%. We'll basically be having again a 5%. So if it's $100 sale, we would get $5 from that. And like I said, 1% of the five, or not one, 20% of the 5%, so 1% of that total would be burnt. So of that $5, $1 would automatically be sent to a burn wallet, and
gotcha.
thankfully we won't have to convert anything because all of the um, all of the purchases will be done already in the Bitrock token, as that's what we'll be denominating our NFT in. So people will buy
Perfect.
it for X amount of dollars in Bitrock. We will receive four of that to the team wallet, and again use that for development, giveaways, all that good stuff. And then 1% will be again burnt just as a kind of a thank you to the Bitrock team and project for allowing us to build on your ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, thank you for actually having faith and trust in the chain, but obviously in the team as well, but mostly the chain because um, a team of a blockchain project with a bad chain is obviously bad, but I think with a bad team is even worse. Uh, so yeah, thank you first of all, and I just remembered one last question I had, and I'm just kind of trying to field all potential questions people might have. So that's part of them are for me, part of them are kind of potential ones that you may get asked. But yeah, so the last question would be that kind of rarity or kind of trait multiplier part. Um, would that be something that you're looking to get automated? So in terms of the actual NFT, you would have some type of algorithm which is able to identify what different traits there are, how rare they are, and then based on that, assign a multiplier? Or is that going to be a manual process, or how's that going to work?
Yes. So again, the multipliers aren't based on like the trait's specific rarity. The multipliers are based just on the specific traits that we're giving a multiplier to, right? So all of the traits are individually placed into the or the data of which traits are on the NFT are placed into the metadata of each NFT. And so yes, we will be able to eventually automate, and that's kind of the point of the staking is that initially, we're kind of expecting that we might have to manually do the giveaways if staking isn't live. But when staking is live, the goal will be that we're able to automate the raffling system so that one, we can provide more transparency. So we're not saying, okay, rock number 100 just won 5 times in a row. And it's a member of the
Yeah,
Bitrock team or something. We want to be able to give that we want to be able to give that transparency, right? So eventually we're going to be releasing some more information on that. But yes, the end goal is to just automate the process where each specific trait that is has a multiplier associated with it is added up in the various ways that the multipliers will be added up, and then once we have that final count of number of entries into all the different giveaways, then we'll run the next automation, which would be a randomizer to a random number generator to pick the specific entry that wins, or multiple entries in the case of multiple winners.
Sweet. Well, thank you for bearing with my questions. I mean, I know I kind of kind of bombarded you with a few right there, but I'm out. So if I'm out of questions, so there's at this point, if there's anyone who has questions for Slabs about the punk rock project, please feel free to raise your hand. We'll take one, maybe two questions because of the time that we have. Um, we did try to kind of address all possible questions. So it's kind of part of the whole diving deep into the showcase part. But I actually don't see anyone with their hands up, which is kind of nice. Uh, but it's also fine if people do have questions. That's completely fine. I'm sure I didn't cover everything. And at the same time, people can still join your Telegram and kind of follow your Twitter and so on, and just kind of stay updated. And at the same time, I think you're fairly active there from what I've seen. So, and definitely you do have other team members as well. So if there's any questions people may think of at a later time, they can just actually just follow the Telegram or hop into the Telegram and ask it there.
Yeah, one thing
Yeah,
real quick, one thing I do want to say just on that note is that, I do try to be as active as possible, and I do like to kind of take a hands-on approach to this. So, I really do encourage anyone who does have questions or is just interested in the project to not only reach out in the Telegram, but feel free to reach out to me directly. If you want to send me a DM on Telegram, send me a DM on the Twitter. Like I said, we do have a guy running the social media, but at the same time, I'm always logged into the account as well. So I respond personally to all the DMs. And we
sweet.
have those open at all times. So again, this is a community project, built for the community. So, we want to be here to answer and, be as helpful as possible. So like I said, feel free to reach out.
Sweet. Thanks so much, man. I mean, with that, we can kind of pretty much wrap it up. But before that, two things. Number one, if you have any kind of closing statement before we kind of wrap things up, and then I have a note to add at the end. So feel free.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just want to tell everyone to keep on rocking. I was really glad to be a part of this space. Again, it's really appreciative of, not only you hosting it, but, your team in general being, kind of in contact with me for the last, 3 months, and just, kind of giving me little bits of advice and, helping us push this project forward. So again, props to you guys for, giving us this recognition. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Honestly, it's only, in my opinion, my personal opinion, it's only fair that we kind of encourage hardworking teams who actually do have a viable product, or kind of, I mean, the kind of criteria is there on our Twitter and our Telegram for kind of being on one of these showcases. But you guys definitely check all the boxes. I mean, in a sense, it's kind of an acknowledgement and also recognition because we do understand that we're still a relatively new chain, and that's completely fine because you got to start somewhere. And there's hopefully a bright future ahead of us for all of us. And at the same time, directing people and rewarding good teams for actually choosing a relatively new chain to build on and actually committing to something long term on the chain is something that, in my opinion, definitely deserves recognition because you get projects that kind of one day old and stuff like that kind of disappearing, and I mean we don't really want to focus on that. We definitely want to make sure that people know that there are projects who are actually or that are actually building on the chain. They do exist, and whether they kind of have it's because I mean every project has its own life cycle. So whatever point you are in your life cycle right now, as long as you have that kind of long-term vision and commitment, it's definitely something worth mentioning. So kudos to you guys, you and your team. Well done. And I think with that, we'll probably wrap it up. And just a quick note to you would be that if you'd like, in our Bitrock Telegram, you can kind of leave a short kind of post with a Telegram link to your channel, just kind of letting people know what you're about, kind of something short and sweet to kind of let people know that we did have you, and of course, giving them a very kind of quick idea and something to maybe latch onto and want to hop into your Telegram to learn more about. So
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll definitely get that drafted up and post it here shortly. Just for
awesome.
the people who weren't able to make it, and maybe I'll leave a link as well to the recording of this space if there is going
Yeah.
to be a recording, so that they can all
No,
kind of
it's definitely recorded. I'll
gotcha.
make sure I send you the link, and of course, the link is also accessible. Like it's going to be the same Spaces link that people are on right now. It's going to stay the same link, so you can share that, and I'll send it to you over a DM right after we're done here. So, yeah, man, thanks, Slaps, for chilling with us today. I think you guys have a very bright future. Sorry for keeping you long. But I just kind of wanted to extract as much information out of you as we can to kind of educate, well, first of all, myself, but also other people here who kind of are on varying levels of understanding of what NFTs are and kind of the whole NFT world and side of things and stuff like that, but also more details on kind of the vision that you specifically have for your project in that world. So yeah, man, thanks for being with us. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you, and we hope to have you on one of these showcases again. You guys kind of have updates and something kind of coming up soon. So yeah, we'll speak to you again, man, and have a great day, I guess, because you're probably in the US or North America somewhere.
Yeah, it's daytime over here, but hey, thank you very much, and yeah, I appreciate it. And we couldn't do this without you guys. So you're just as integral of a part to our project as we are ourselves. So
Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll speak again soon. And thank you for everyone who's joined us today, guys. I hope that you guys found some value in hearing from Slabs on punk rocks. And again, definitely go and check their Telegram to learn more. And if you have any questions as well. And yeah, with that, hope everyone has a great day, night, afternoon, wherever you are. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, man.
If you smell what the rock is cooking.